I get it. You've been scrolling through endless listings of hydraulic lift tables, each one promising a game-changing upgrade for your workshop, but the photos make it look like you'll be lifting a car with the push of a button. Then you read the reviews and wonder if you're about to waste a few $100s on a piece of equipment that looks great on the screen, but barely lifts the weight you need, or worse, takes up too much floor space. That hesitation is real, and it's why I'm digging into the Vestil PT12 before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the problem this table tries to solve. In a small automotive shop, you often have to get a 2,000-pound transmission or a hefty engine block onto a bench without a forklift. You might improvise with a pair of jacks, but they're finicky, they can slip, and they usually require you to move the item onto a separate platform first. The idea behind a low-profile post lift is that you can roll the part straight onto the table, crank it up a few inches, and have a stable work surface right where you need it. That's the promise, and the Vestil PT12 delivers on the basic concept. The table's biggest selling point is the low-profile hydraulic foot pump. Instead of a bulky electric motor, you operate it with a foot-actuated lever that pushes fluid into a telescoping cylinder. In practice, that means you're not tethered to an outlet, and you avoid the humming noise that comes with electric pumps. I've seen shop owners say they like the hands-free feel of a foot pump because it lets them keep both hands on the load while they're raising it. The downside is that you do need a little leg strength to get the table up to its maximum 25-inch height, especially when you're at the 4,000-pound limit. For occasional lifts, the effort is manageable, but if you're raising heavy parts every hour, you might feel the fatigue after a while. The telescoping cylinder gives the PT12 a wider lifting range than a fixed-height lift. You can start at a near-ground height of about 6 inches, which is perfect for slipping a pallet or a big gearbox right onto the platform, then raise it in increments up to the full 25 inches. In a real-world scenario, I watched a small auto body shop use it to lift a rear axle assembly just enough to slide a set of bolts in without having to crouch over the workpiece. That extra range saved them a few minutes per job, which adds up over a day of work. Stability is another practical concern, and Vestil addresses it with a foot brake that locks the table in place once you're at the desired height. In a noisy garage with vibrating machinery, a wobbly lift can be a safety nightmare. The foot brake engages with a firm click, and the table stays put even when someone bumps the side. The trade-off is that the brake mechanism is mechanical, so it can wear over time and may need occasional tightening. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to keep on your maintenance checklist. Who should actually consider buying this table? If you run a shop that handles heavy components a few times a week, think engine blocks, transmission housings, or large metal brackets, this lift gives you a sturdy platform without the overhead of a full-size hydraulic lift system. Its footprint, roughly 41 by 24 inches, fits comfortably in a corner of a standard 10 by 12-foot garage, leaving room for tool chests or a workbench. The 4,000-pound capacity means you won't outgrow it as your projects get bigger, and the steel construction handles the abuse of daily shop traffic. On the other hand, there are buyers who should probably look elsewhere. If you run a high-volume assembly line where you need to lift parts every few minutes, the manual foot pump will become a bottleneck. In those settings, a motorized lift with programmable cycles pays off in speed and reduces operator fatigue. Also, if you need a lift height above 30 inches, say you're loading pallets onto a high rack, the PT12 will stop short, and you'd have to stack a secondary platform, which defeats the purpose of a single-piece solution. Now, let's get into the practical strengths and weaknesses that matter after you unpack the box. Strengths. The low profile truly lets you roll heavy items directly onto the table without needing a separate loading dock. The hydraulic system feels smooth once you get the rhythm of the foot pump, and the lift reaches its max height in about 10 seconds of steady pumping. The steel frame holds up well to the occasional bump from a forklift wheel, and the foot brake locks the table without any slippage. Weaknesses. The foot pump does require a bit of leg effort, especially at the top of the range, and the manual operation means you can't set a precise height and